So if there's one piece of advice I can go back and tell the shy, scared, bullied, younger version of myself, the kid that I used to be, it would be that awkwardness is nothing but a belief that we have created. Awkwardness, social awkwardness. The thing we give ourselves such a hard time for is nothing but one way of perceiving a situation. It's a choice. It's not a conscious choice. It's very much unconscious for a lot of people, but it's still a choice to feel that way about a situation. So I used to give myself such a hard time about my perceived awkward behaviors. Going into a new social situation with new people and not immediately knowing what to say, not immediately being really funny or charming, making everyone laugh, having everyone like me, getting hung up on these little awkward silences where neither of us know what to say. And even though it's a two-way situation, always putting the blame on myself, always treating it as, my fault, my shortcoming. If only I wasn't awkward. If only I was like other people, I was confident. And what I realized, and this is a really important lesson, we look at awkwardness as this external thing. The thing that triggers awkwardness is you care about what other people think. And I don't like saying it like that because it just sounds a little bit cliche, but we do care about what other people think. Going into a social situation, we want to be liked, we want to make a positive impression. And it's the worry of not living up to that standard that we're setting for ourselves. Like we need to come across as confident, we need to automatically have them like us, accept us. That's what creates the nerves, the anxiety, the paranoia, which then translates into awkward behavior. So pretty much we all think it's connected to our external environment. We think it's about what other people are thinking of us. When really awkwardness it's an internal state. It's an internal feeling. When you get nervous going into a social situation, is that about the other person? Or is that about us? Because we can't predict the future. We have very few clear and obvious signs of what the other person is thinking. We might get a little hunch, but we can never be 100% confident. That's impossible. So most of this feeling, most of these nerves and anxiety, which then becomes awkward behavior, it's based on the past. It's based on past experiences. Maybe some negative experiences you had where you did get mocked, where you did feel excluded or humiliated by other people. And, that was painful. It hurt so much that you never wanted to feel that again. So your brain developed these strategies to protect you. The anxiety, like perceiving new social situations as threatening, triggering that fight or flight response in your body as a way of protecting you from the danger. But the thing is, in these social situations where we feel like that, where our heart starts to race, where we start kind of having those panic attack symptoms, or our brain jams up and we don't know what to say, there is no danger there. Or if there is danger, we can't predict it. We're just simply following the old script. And I guess what I've learned is, because awkwardness is such an internal state, it's internal, but your internal state defines how you see the world around you, your external reality. I don't want this to sound like kind of like spiritual mumbo jumbo, but what you think, your thoughts, they're what control like how you perceive the world around you, like whether you feel positively or negatively about any given situation. Because reality, like think about this, reality is neutral. Like who decides whether a particular situation is good or bad, whether we should be excited about it or sad about it? It's us. It all comes from the mind. We project our inner state onto our environment, and that's a choice. That is a choice. We always have a choice about how to react to a given situation. We're the ones who choose what it means, whether a situation is negative, whether I'm being awkward right now, or whether actually I'm okay. This situation doesn't mean anything. I guess an example is, I'd beat myself up, and I know a lot of people do this as well. They beat themselves up when they don't live up to a standard. I don't know where that standard comes from. Maybe it's from TV, maybe it's from their friends. It's all comparison based. When they don't immediately feel confident and comfortable in a situation, and they're not immediately really talkative or know the right things to say, and we project the negative, we project our own sense of awkwardness onto that situation, when really there's no real reason to feel like that. Because I feel like what the version of me now knows is actually that's perfectly normal. Like, I'm a confident guy. Does that mean I always know what to say? Does that mean I don't feel like a little twinge of anxiety meeting new people for the first time? Does that mean I'm wrong for like wanting them to like me or not, or like caring about the interaction and how I come across? None of these things aren't normal. And they're true for everyone. Like even the most confident people that I know, they have their little hang-ups. They have those situations where they don't feel confident. And this is what we got to keep in mind. Like, I'm not saying we expect too much of ourselves, but we are the ones who decide whether a situation is awkward. I've had my embarrassing moments, and I feel like those same feelings from past embarrassing experiences being triggered, like when they happen to me. Like, I'll give you a funny example. Like, I was at work not too long ago, and they have these like TVs attached to the wall, like where they play like different messages on and stuff, and different displays. And I was talking to someone, I genuinely just walked straight into the TV, like the side of it, shoulder barged it, almost knocked it off the wall. And everyone laughed, and I was kind of like, I started to like feel like my face going red a little bit, which is how I would have acted before. But then I just caught the thought. I said, this is only awkward, this is only embarrassing if I treat it that way. Like, I don't have to react to it. And I kind of just smiled and like went on with my day. Like, I'm not in any danger. Like, people laughed, but what harm does that do to me? I know I probably wouldn't have felt the same way about that like as I did in school, because like getting humiliated in school, that's an unforgiving environment and it feels a lot worse. But it's still a choice at the end of the day, like whether to let it affect you. And that's not something that happened right away. I didn't just stop caring. Like, I'm always going to care to some extent, but think we just got to be kinder to ourselves. It's only awkward if you decide it's awkward. You could just decide it's a funny situation. You could laugh at yourself. When the stakes get that high, when you feel like your reputation is at stake, when you think that everyone laughed at you and they're always going to remember that, when in reality they're going to forget about it as soon as they get home, or the next morning when they wake up, they're not going to be thinking about that. And that's actually true. Like, this is scientifically proven. We don't retain that much information. We forget about things super easily. I've seen people like come back from like the most embarrassing situations ever, like you would not believe. And yeah, nothing is permanent. Just because you may have acted awkward in the past doesn't mean you are an awkward person. Just because I'm not confident in every single situation doesn't mean I'm not a confident person. So yeah, just don't be so quick to define yourself as awkward. And remember that's something which, it's an internal state. And when you're feeling awkward, to be 100% honest, that doesn't mean you're coming across as awkward, because people have their own perceptions of what awkward is. You might be like a neurotic person. I'm extremely neurotic. I'm a massive overthinker. I overthink everything. But does that always show in my body language? Sometimes it does, but sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes I've told people, like, I've done a presentation and I've told people after, like, oh, I'm so nervous, I was so nervous. I feel like I was really awkward. And they say, like, genuinely, I could not tell. I could not tell. You were fine. Like, you didn't show it in your body language. Your poker face was good. So yeah, just keep in mind all of this. You're not awkward. You may be prone to some awkward moments, but it's only awkward if you decide it is.